Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys at Magic. This is Hunter, David, Shane, and Steven. Say what up, boys.
Yo, what's going on?
Hello.
What's up, nerds?
We are coming at you with our Commander Grades video. This time we are doing Phyrexia, All Will Be One. In this video, we're going to be talking about the mono-colored creatures. There are a good amount of them to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started with the very first one. This is the big mom herself. This is Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines. Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines, is 4 and a white for a 4/7 legendary creature, Phyrexian Praetor. She's got Vigilance, and it says if a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. And it says permanents entering the battlefield don't cause abilities or permanents your opponents control to trigger. So double all your stuff, get rid of everybody else's. Quite the mean card. We're going to start with David. David, what do we think as Elesh Norn as a commander?
I mean, generally speaking, I do actually really like her overall design. I think this is kind of perfect for what she should be doing. 5 mana for mono white is not my favorite, and to be honest with you, she's got a really powerful effect, but because this is going to hinder so many of your opponents, I don't think she's going to live very long. I think she's probably going to eat the first piece of removal after she gets played, so I am actually not very high on Elesh Norn, just because I think she's going to piss off everybody else at the table.
Yeah, I understand the hate generator she has, but like you built this deck. You do have a deck tech on the channel. Check the description down below for that deck tech. What did you think when you built it?
I mean, she's really fun and she's like a huge payoff. The problem, like I mentioned though, is that like she's 5 mana to start. She's probably not going to survive a turn rotation, and then you're looking at 7-9 plus mana in mono white. Like, I understand that there's ways for you to be able to like get extra lands and with her ability to like really abuse as ETBs, but at the same time, I don't even know if she survives your instep. I think most of the time she doesn't.
Well, you got cards that you can play to protect her. You don't need to play her immediately on turn 5, right?
I think that the deck really does benefit from having her out as soon as possible. So should you play her on turn 5 and not protect her? Probably not, but you do want her out as soon as you possibly can before your opponents can build up those port states. Otherwise, she might not do a whole lot in terms of like trying to lock your opponents down. She's high risk, high reward.
I was gonna say, what are you really like? My biggest thing is that the mono white factor of this, because I do think that I might play this in like a stacks-ish, definitely not full stacks, but the whole like your opponents can't have things enter the battlefield or have triggers, whatever. That's pretty mean. So I would try to work around that, but I don't know. On the other side, I want other colors, so I don't know. So I didn't really like her as much either.
Steven, what do you think?
Card's great. I mean, I played against this card before. I'd say like a month ago, some guy like was playing it online, and it really does just it shuts down so many things, and it is such a hate generator. I spent pretty much all game trying to get rid of this card, and so did the other people that were playing against it. And you know, whether it's in white or whether you're doing some colorless shenanigans, there are a ton of ways to protect this card. So I mean, built around the deck. I mean, I think this card is super strong, and although the 5 mana is a little much, there are ways to kind of get around that too. So
yeah, you got things to protect it like Flawless Maneuver, Teferi's Protection, Unbreakable Formation, things to throw in here to give her Indestructible or just to essentially phase her out.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorites was Eldrazi Displacer.
Yeah, that card too. I think she's powerful. I think I know you built the deck, David, but I think this would be a really fun build. I think yes, she is a hate generator, but you still have the other people at the table to take care of as well.
Yeah, but everyone's going to be focusing you because you shut down all of them.
That is my counterpoint, is you eliminate so much of what your opponents are going to do that I'm going to prioritize killing Elesh Norn over another threat unless that other threat is winning the game.
All right, you guys ready to move on to the grades?
Yep.
We'll start with the guy that made the deck. David, what are you giving Elesh Norn?
I'm going to give her a C. That high risk, high reward still kind of scares me, and the amount of hate she's going to generate is insane. So, middle of the road.
And I am too blessed to be hated on, so B.
I am also going to give this a B with you, Steven.
Still feel like it's a C in my opinion.
All right, well, the higher grade gets the tiebreaker. The average here is a B. Moving on to Kemba, Kha Enduring. Kemba, Kha Enduring is 1 and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature, Cat Cleric. It says whenever Kemba, Kha Enduring, or another cat enters the battlefield under your control, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to that creature. Equipped creatures you control get +1/+1. And it has another ability we can pay 3 and 2 white to create a 2/2 white cat creature token. I guess I'll start because I'm kind of the cat deck. I have a cat deck.
You are the cat deck.
This is a pretty good card. However, I don't like how it's a 5 mana create a 2/2. I think that's a little bit much. I understand that the card is really good as itself already, but I don't know. I feel like an equipment themed cat deck has already been a thing. So this is nothing new in territory of the cats.
Does this do it better though?
I don't think so. No.
Hmm.
I mean, this would be great in the cat deck.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm talking about a Rabo. That is my cat deck. Yeah, I don't know. Equipment cats. That's a thing, I guess.
I'm sure there's a bunch of really cool, crazy equipments that cost insane amounts, right, Steven?
I mean,
Get a cat creature.
there's the fun Colossal Hammer.
Yeah, there you go. See that thing?
Costs the whole whopping 1.
Oh,
And then you do have to pay 8 to equip it, but hey, there are fun ways to get around that with Kemba.
I was
yeah,
gonna
like
say,
create a cat.
no, not even that, dude. Turn 1, play Colossus Hammer. Turn 2, play Kemba. Colossus Hammer gets equipped to Kemba. You got a 2-mana 13/13 commander on turn 2.
And then
Yeah,
turn
see, that's
3, you play Duelist Heritage for 3, and then 1 or more creatures attack. Target attacking creature gets double strike, and then you get a turn 3 KO.
Dude, I love having perfect draws, guys.
Magical Christmas Land. We've said it
It's-
before.
I don't think that's Magical Christmas Land. Like, Colossus Hammer is like the one card that I'm going to say makes this tick. Kemba's in your command zone. That's not something you ever need a mulligan for. You always have access to the card. Colossus Hammer is a chance that you're going to be able to pull that. I mean,
One card
Sure.
out of 99, Dave.
that's what
it's like
mulligans are
getting-
for.
It's like getting your
Yeah, and then the
your
other
soul
card.
ring, dude.
Listen, man, at the end of the day, I'll mulligan 6 times.
Hell yeah! All you need is that one card, dude.
What do you guys think of it as a commander, David?
I know that you always kind of go down this road whenever it comes to potential tribal. I don't see tribal at all with this. The 5 mana there is just like a bonus of a token creation on a card in the case that I have nothing to do with my mana for the turn. Kemba 100% is a Voltron commander to me, and I think that she actually does a pretty solid job because she just grabs that equipment and gets around the equip cost. So I actually do like this card.
That's pretty fun.
Completely disagree.
I think it's an interesting take on the opposite of what we've seen, and that's like when equipment enters, you attach to something. It's when something enters, you attach the equipment that's already on the board. I don't know. Like Boros equipment's a thing. This is just white. Equipment matters.
I want to know what Steven's opinion is.
I think that you should build this tribal. I mean, at the end of the day, you attach up to 1 target equipment you control to the creature that's entering the battlefield. So, like, cool, you could have a whole bunch of cool artifacts on the board, and then you put Kemba on the field, and you can only attach 1 to it. Like, I don't know. That's so lackluster for me.
Let's move on to the grades. Steven, we'll start with you. What are you giving it?
Just to see, it's pretty meh. I mean, it's kind of fun. I mean, like, anytime you can put a turn 3 KO on the field, that sounds pretty fun. But I mean, like I said, Magical Christmas Land. So I'm gonna give it a C.
I'm joining you again, Steven. This is a C for me as well.
I think I'm gonna join you too. Seems like a fun budget deck.
Yeah, I'm there as well. I'm at a C. I think it's fun. I do love how cheap she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is great. The average grade for Kemba is a C. Moving on to Mondrak Glory Dominus. Mondrak Glory Dominus is 2 and 2 white for a 4/4 legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. It says if one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead, and has another ability you can pay 1 and 2 white Phyrexian mana. If you didn't know, you can either pay that with a white or 2 life per, and sacrifice 2 other artifacts and or creatures, put an indestructible counter on Mondrak, Glory Dominus. Anointed Procession on a creature. Seems really good in a command zone to me.
It does. I was thinking you could just go so wide with this deck, dude. We want to make a token deck. This would be a really fun commander.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Go ahead, Steven.
You can tell me why.
I mean, I don't know, man. I just like it's fun to think about this being in the command zone, but you still, at the end of the day, have to pay 4 into it and then have enough mana to do the fun stuff you want to do to create those twice as many tokens. I don't know.
Doubling effects are powerful, dude.
Sure,
Super powerful.
they are powerful. I will agree with that. But the second this comes down, it's, I would say it's almost the same as Elesh Norn. You're looking at a hate generator right off the rip.
This has built-in protection.
It does,
luckily
from
it's only
being
4 mana.
destroyed.
Well, I'm gonna agree with Steven on this. I'm gonna jump in here too. This is a card that to me does literally nothing on its own. Like you have to have all those additional token creators in the deck, which obviously I understand. Yes, you would. At the same time, I don't think that this has the built-in protection, at least not as easily as what you kind of think. Like you're not going to pay 4 mana for this on turn 4 because you still have to have at least 1 additional mana up, assuming that you're going to pay the 4 life for its ability, and then sacrificing 2 other artifacts and or creatures. Whenever you drop this thing, I don't imagine that you're going to have an abundance of creatures in play for you to just like make this thing indestructible. Plus, indestructible really doesn't matter that much. I feel like most removal in EDH doesn't care about indestructible.
I think you underestimate token decks being able to pump out so many creatures to turn that indestructible clause on.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. Like, there are a lot of really powerful token generators in Magic, and like in Commander. I just think that being in mono white, kind of being on the more expensive side, coming in at 4 mana, and then not doing anything the turn that it drops, like, I don't think that this is great.
I disagree.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
I get it that she doesn't do anything on her own, but that's why you build the decks.
I mean, I can make that
commanders
same
don't do it on their
argument.
own.
I can make the same argument about every deck. Like, you just build the deck.
But yeah,
Right.
how many? Most decks you don't win with just the commander, right? I would imagine.
I mean, it's pretty important most of the time.
Right, this
Ishin,
is a
for
pretty
example,
important. What?
doesn't do anything on its own.
But it doubles the attack step or attack whatever.
It doubles all the attack triggers.
He also provides you with access to 2 extra colors.
I get that, but if you're saying it doesn't do anything on its own, it doesn't do anything on its own.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm just not very high on this card.
I mean,
Anybody else?
there's so many exile effects in Commander. I mean, I just like maybe in Standard this will be a little bit more popular because obviously there's a whole bunch of destroy, but I think this in any kind of other format like Commander, I think this will be just exiled immediately. It's so easy. It's not even funny.
I don't know, man. It protects from sweepers, that's for sure.
I mean, yeah, cool. I mean, so somebody sweeps your board. You sacrifice 2 of your artifacts or creatures to make this indestructible, and then every single token you've created is gone.
And you do it
Yeah.
again.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Have you not played against the token deck?
I have, and they're not hard to deal with.
Oh, sorry, Mr. fucking professional.
All right, let's move on to the grades. I'm sticking with my original grade. I'm giving this a B. I'm high on it. I like it.
I'm giving it a B2, Hunter.
I mean, it's pretty mediocre for me. I to be honest with you, I almost want to go down to a D, but I think I'm just going to stick with what I originally put and give it a C.
I completely agree with Steven. It's a C, but it's not a C I'm super impressed with.
Wow.
Wow, haters, dude.
It's true, Shane. We're on the same team here, apparently. The average grade for Mondrak is going to be a B. Moving on to the final white card. This is Skrelv, Defector Mite. Skrelv Defector Mite is 1 white mana for a 1/1 legendary artifact creature, Phyrexian Mite. It has Toxic 1. It says it can't block. It has an ability where you can pay 1 white Phyrexian mana and tap it, choose a color. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn. Steven, give me your information.
This is probably the strongest card the set has ever released.
Set has ever released?
Yeah, this is the strongest card in the set, hands down. It's my
Why?
because
That's a
do it
hot
for the
take.
memes, dude. Do it for the memes.
That is a hot take.
If I'm gonna build a mono white deck, it's gonna be a 1 mana card. I fucking guarantee it.
I will say that I do like this card more than it's getting credit for. Because
100%.
put this in a mono white life gain deck, and you're just gonna kill people with poison. You're gonna give something unblockable pretty much every turn this is on the field. You're just slowly gonna annoy people.
Why would you put this in a life gain deck?
So you can use the ability and not have to pay mana. Just keep using your life as a resource.
You know, you start EDH with 40 life, right? That you can use the mana, or you can just pay the life. Like, I don't think that's much of a trade-off.
I'm just saying, when people start getting hit with poison, you're gonna become a target. Life gain's gonna help.
So I'm gonna spin this in a totally different direction. I think that the toxic mechanic as a whole is actually pretty weak. I think that they probably could have pumped it up quite a bit and would have been totally fine. Saying that this is also in mono white, a color that does not proliferate well. I'm not super afraid of the toxic there. What I do like about this card is the fact that you can tap it to give another creature hexproof from a color. So this is like almost having a mom in the command zone. It's a little bit weird and then you have to pay for it too, but that's kind of the route that I take with this. This is the card that's going to protect my other things. I don't care about toxic.
Yeah, I was kind of going to say that I think that the Toxic Commander is not going to be monocolored. Like, I played that Corrupting Influence, and it's definitely going to be a 2 or 3 color deck if you're playing Toxic.
I mean, I agree. I think if I have ever heard the term budget before, it would be with this card. I think
Really
this is
want
a
to know.
budget deck.
Yeah. If you really want to know, there are 13 cards that can be in this deck that proliferate.
Damn.
Mhm.
Use them sparingly.
Exactly. No, I like it. I like a little Skrelv. 1 mana. 1 mana commanders are fun.
Yeah? I mean, you
Yeah.
get to play them forever. That's nice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
And
that's
turn 1
right.
unless you really fucked up your draw.
Let's move out of the grades. I'm giving this a C. I like it.
I'm going to B, man. I mean, this is this is so fun, and I just like. I know I just shit on a lot of the other cards in this set so far, but there's something about this that really makes me want to build like a really stupid deck with it.
I thought you were going to be completely sarcastic when you said do for the memes. I thought you were going low.
Nah, dude, I'm doing it for the memes.
He's a meme lord, dude. I, on the other hand, don't want to do it for the memes. I'm going to call this a D for me.
I think Mom in the Command Zone is a really, I want to say cool idea, but honestly, I feel like playing against this is probably just going to be annoying, and the lack of direction is also going to frustrate me. So I'm going to go with a D.
All right, well, Skrelv Defector Mite gets an average grade of a C. Moving on to the blue creatures. This is Tekuthal Inquiry Dominus. Tekuthal Inquiry Dominus is 2 and 2 blue for a 3/5 legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. It has flying. It says if you would proliferate twice instead. It has another ability we can pay 1 and 2 blue Phyrexian mana. Remove 3 counters from among other artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers you control. Put an indestructible counter on Tekuthal. Shane, the blue player, what do we think?
I'm going to get a lot of, not hate for this opinion, but I think you guys aren't going to agree with me at all. But I absolutely love this card. Like, I don't think it's going to be winning me a bunch of games, but I'm going to have so much fun playing this card because I am building this deck. This is just going to be a straight Super Friends and mono blue with the new Ecker Moon and like other things to go and get that. Like, it's going to sound really janky to you, but once you see me play it in person, I think you might change your tune a little bit. But there are so many planeswalkers in mono blue, obviously, that you would right off the bat think that are not good. But with this, they actually kind of become good. They just this and the Ackermoon, they become huge proliferating engines that will just proliferate off each other, and like it would not be uncommon if you let me get to this point. If I have more than 2 planeswalkers, I'm gonna destroy. Like just 2 planeswalkers on the field. So I mean, it is gonna be a little bit of a janky deck, but I'm gonna play this deck and have so much fun playing it.
Yeah, I said before, doubling things is a very powerful effect. Interesting to see this is built around proliferating. It's a little different. Wish it was another
I
color.
can't wait, dude. You don't need any more colors, dude. There's so many. There's like even Jaces that are like budget Jaces that you would think are horrible, but they're ult that you'd be able to do immediately. Just makes another copy of them that's not a legendary copy. So now the one Jace immediately gets you 2 Jace. Like, it's nuts, dude.
Whenever you plus them, you only plus them once. You have to proliferate, so you have to do something in addition to that. Adding a
I
loyalty counter is
know.
not proliferating.
But Ickermoon has an ability that you put on all planeswalkers that lets them proliferate.
So
when you have
a single card is turning on all of your decks. Is that my understanding?
your understanding should be that half my deck will go and get that card, yes.
Okay, you're going to argue with me that Hammer Time early was not appropriate because you had to go find a card. But now you're going to make that same argument here.
I didn't say it was inappropriate for Hammer Time. I said that those 3 combos was a Merry Christmas Land. Just wait. I'm going to say to you, just hang on, hang tight for it. You'll see it. You'll see the vision.
You better have fucking a shit ton of free counter spells.
You will fucking see, baby.
Steven, what do we think of this card?
I think it's very mediocre. I think it's cool as a 4-mana 3/5 with flying. I think that's sick. Cool. You get to proliferate and you do it again. I don't like the fact that I have to pay 1 and possibly 4 life to remove 3 counters from among other things I have. I'm not saying it'd be hard because obviously, if Shane's saying we planeswalkers, we can take things off that, but that's not what we want to do really. But I just, dude, Commander is so broad, and there's so many ways to get rid of this or planeswalkers, or I don't know, man. Like, I see the direction that some people might want to go with it, and I don't see this being it for me.
David?
This is the worst Dominus of the entire cycle. This one not only does nothing on its own, I'm not impressed with its stats. This needs so much for you to build around. You have to have those proliferate cards. You have to have cards that care about proliferating in order for this to do anything at all. And I understand that you're in blue. And yes, blue is probably the best color whenever it comes to proliferating. I don't think that Super Friends is a route that you want to take because really, Super Friends, you need those other colors. Yes, I understand that there are plenty of planeswalkers in blue. Not super scared of them. I think whenever you're playing Super Friends and you're missing out on things like green, you're really stunting the deck. I'm not high on this card at all.
Moving on to the grades, we'll start with Shane. He loves this card. What are you giving it?
Easy B, dude.
I'm going middle of the road here. I'm giving it a C.
More like easy D.
Woo-hoo.
I'm not angry or upset. I just want to emphasize that. I apologize. This is a D.
Well, the average here is going to be a C. Next up, we have Unctus Grand Metatect. Unctus Grand Metatect is 1 and 2 blue for a 2/4 legendary artifact creature, Phyrexian Vidalcan. It says other blue creatures you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. Also says other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1, and has another ability where you can pay a blue Phyrexian. And it says until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a blue artifact in addition to its other colors and types. Activate only as a sorcery. Going right back at the blue player, Shane. What do we think of Uncle Unctus?
I have no idea how to build this, but I know that all your creatures tapping, drawing you cards is never a bad thing.
I played blue too, right?
Yeah, but you played mill blue. It's gross.
I was going to say, fun fact, everybody here but Hunter plays blue.
but Shane is all about mono blue sometimes.
He's not wrong, and my opinion still stands. No idea how to make this. I'm sure you just add a bunch of good stuff to draw, but dude, tapping your creatures to draw a card, discard a card, that's awesome.
All right, Steven, I get it. You're the other blue player. Go ahead and tell us what your opinions are on this.
I don't want to know. No, this card's great, man. I mean, the fact that any blue creature in your deck can, when you attack with it or when you tap it for mana, you're able to just filter through your deck. I mean, that's fantastic. And then artifact creatures get +1/+1, and then all you have to do is pay 2 life or pay a blue, and then you can make whatever the heck you want a blue artifact in addition to its other types. I think that's fantastic. Not only that, but you can also do that the turn this comes out. And I think that is a mechanic of Commander that I really do appreciate. The fact that as soon as the commander hits the board, it doesn't matter if it's summoning sick, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think this buffs your creatures. You attack with those buffed creatures. You filter through your deck looking for the, I don't know, combo pieces. If you wanted to make this combo deck or just any good stuff in blue, fantastic capability.
This is a combo deck. Like, why would you do anything else?
This is
All
a
right.
combo deck.
You're
Go
filtering
ahead.
through your deck so fast.
Go ahead, David. Give me the combo.
I mean, this is just like you go crazy with something like a Pila Pala to just like start nuking through your deck. And I don't know, you win with Thassa's Oracle. Like you draw and discard your whole deck and then just win with one of those like silly kind of cards. I don't know, man.
Yeah, like
There's
Lab
so many-
Maniac, Thassa's Oracle.
There's so many ways that you can like tab and untap creatures in blue. I know that there's ways that you could potentially build this as fair, but this just strikes me as like you 100% are just going to be applying this as like combo if you want to play it maxed out.
Let's move on to the grades. I'm going to start. I'm going to give it a B. This is very strong.
Yeah, I'll be right there with you, man. I think this was a pretty strong one, so I'm going to give this a B as well.
He'll be there with me.
I think this locks you into a pretty specific lane, and being a monocolor, I don't think I can give this any higher than a C with just what I see.
Just what you see.
Come on, Shane.
I want to go B, but we don't do high grades, so I think I'm just gonna do C as well because I don't play the combo route. I can see that it's strong. Drawing cards, amazing. High C.
Well, this average grade for Unctus is going to be a B.
See, there you go.
Moving on to the black legendary creatures. First one, Drivnod, Carnage Dominus. Drivnod, Carnage Dominus. It is 3 and 2 black for an 8/3 legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. It says if a creature dying causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. It has another ability where you can pay 2 black Phyrexian mana, exile 3 creature cards from your graveyard, put an indestructible counter on Drivnod. This seems like a David card, so we'll start with David.
Okay, 5 mana is a lot. The 8/3 stats on this thing, to be honest with you, I'm actually not impressed with that. At 3 toughness is this needs the indestructible counter on it for it to be able to go to combat. The last little thing on this thing is its main ability of like if a creature dying causes that trigger to go off twice, that's actually really powerful on like any kind of aristocrats build. You can put Zulaport Cutthroat or Blood Artist in here and then just going to go crazy with those effects. So he's probably my favorite with the abilities, probably my least favorite of the cycle in terms of stats.
I mean, I'm going to say what David said earlier, but actually say it correctly. This is the worst Dominus in the set.
Damn.
Interesting. Do
Why?
tell.
Why would you not just play Teysa Karlov and add a color and it's cheaper?
I don't know.
This card is awful, dude.
I don't know if it's awful. I prefer that this, or I mean, I can see this being in the 99 of so many lists, but maybe not at the helm.
Cool. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, whenever we talk about these cards, I think most of the time we want these to be the helm of the deck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So in this aspect, I would never put this at the helm of my deck. I would much rather add white, make it Orshoff, and then play Teysa Karlov, and then just have a way better deck building experience.
The ability is relevant, though. Let me tell you.
Sure, I completely agree. But Teysa Karlov literally has the same ability. It's cheaper. And it even, like, the funny thing is, Teysa Karlov's a human advisor and has 4 toughness, whereas this fucking thing
A human advisor.
is a Phyrexian horror and is 3 toughness. Like, what?
Yeah, but she
Well,
can't
yeah.
give herself indestructible.
Indestructible doesn't matter in EDH, man. There's just too many things in the format that exile or like polymorph this, like the Kenrith's transformation kind of thing.
I'm gonna laugh my ass off when somebody pays 4 life to make this indestructible and exiles 3 really good creatures out of their graveyard, and then just this just gets exiled instead. Like, worthless, dude.
It'll be a 2-for-1, dude.
It's good in an Aristocrats deck, but I don't think it's very good at the helm.
Wow. We're all saying the same thing.
Yeah, so let's
Yep.
go ahead and move on to the grades. We'll start with Steven, who had the biggest opinion here. Steven.
This card's garbage, but it does something, so it's a D.
I'm saying it's average. It's a C.
This is probably my favorite Dominus. It's a C.
I think it's a C as well.
Garbage.
Well, Drivnod gets an average grade of a C. Moving on to Geth, Thane of Contracts. Geth, Thane of Contracts is 1 and 2 black for a 3/4 legendary creature, Phyrexian zombie. It says other creatures you control get -1/-1. Has another ability that says you can pay 1 and 2 black, tap it, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains if this creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Activate only as a sorcery. I don't like this card at all.
I need to hear your opinion first.
Very slow.
Very slow.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to elaborate to the class?
Yeah, so at 3 mana, I get it. You want to do the whole recursion thing. So you play this turn 3. Gotta have the 2 black pips, so you can't do it earlier if you had extra colors. Or just colorless mana. Your creatures get smaller, which is unfortunate. And it's not even if the creature is killed. If someone bounces your creature, it's exiled.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
That would suck.
But I mean, there's a lot of cards that are in Magic that don't fully care if their stats are smaller, that still do insanely dumb things. And to get them on the field for 3, I mean, I get that you think it's slow, but maybe you don't play this right on 3. Maybe you start doing some mill, doing some other things, doing some discard. There's other ways to get big things in there.
Yeah, and then someone plays a Bajuka Bog and
Yeah,
ruins
that
your
would
whole
suck
game
once.
plan.
Yeah, that would suck once.
I mean, or the new Soulless Jailer.
That's a good
Soulless
card.
Jailer.
Listen, at the end of the day, I think this card's really cool. I understand the power that it has. 3 mana is not that expensive for what this card can do. At the end of the day, you still have to wait a whole turn if you don't have any haste. And then you have to pay an additional 3. I'm not saying it's going to be hard because I know Mono Black can easily do this, but at the end of the day, I just think that there are cards that do it better. There are cards that add more colors to the deck. This is fun, but I just don't like it.
Go ahead, David. Tell us your opinions.
I think Geth is one of my favorite cards in the set, to be completely honest with you. The getting -1/-1, I don't care about at all. Like what Shane had mentioned earlier, there's so many cards that you can reanimate that, oh no, now you're 10/10s and 9/9. It's still massive. It doesn't matter. For you to just be able to like grab any of those things and put them back into play. Also, this is general reanimation on your creature. You can just be playing a mono black good stuff deck. And if your opponents start killing your things, just reanimate them. Like having this ability stapled onto a commander is incredibly powerful.
I agree.
Wouldn't you call this a hate generator if that's the case?
I mean, you could potentially look at it as a hate generator, but at the same time, I also look at like if I have Geth as my commander and I'm playing like I don't know, even just something like a demon tribal, are you going to deal with that with Geth, or are you going to deal with my 6/6 flying trampler first?
Yeah, I think this is technically a hate generator, but I think this is the slow version of it, if that makes sense. Whereas
I
like
think
things like Elesh Norn, you see it immediately and you want it dead. I think Geth kind of comes out and you're like, okay, I don't need to worry about it right now. And I think that's where people will make the mistake.
I agree with Steven on that. I think he's a little bit he flies a little under the radar in comparison to some of the other big threats.
I don't know, man. But if you did this multiple times and you had multiple creatures that you reanimated with Geth, getting hit with a cyclonic is a whole new meaning.
I don't think you're going to need to do it multiple times is my point.
I don't know if I agree with you there. Let's move on to the grades. Steven once said, "This is meh." I'm giving it a D.
I mean, I was gonna give it a D. I'll give it a C. You brought me up a little bit, Dave, but not too much.
I'm going to give this a B. I really like Geth.
I'm right there with you. I think this is a B, dude.
Yeah. Plus, how many commanders could you play that have scarves?
And that are half crabs.
The average here is going to be a C. Moving on to the Rat King himself. This is Karumonix, the Rat King. It is 1 and 2 black for a 3/3 legendary creature, Phyrexian Rat. It's got Toxic 1. Does other rats you control have Toxic 1? And when it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of rat cards from among them. Put the reveal cards into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. Steven, you were very high on this when we did our spoiler video. We're going to start with you.
Yeah, I mean, when we did the spoiler video, David wasn't there. So, yeah, man. I mean, I love this card. I thought when I first saw it, it was really amazing, and David kept on shitting on it, and I think it is still amazing. But at the end of the day, there are other rat commanders that do what this does way better. The Toxic 1 is cool. Giving other rats you control Toxic 1 are really cool. But any other time I played against a rat commander, I've never had to worry about getting 10 poison counters.
So it's a new thing.
I mean, what I'm saying is that it's a new thing, but it's not like it's just cool. To me, it's flavor text almost. Like I'm not worried about it. The ETB is really powerful. But I would rather just like pass this on to David so he can just give everybody his points, because I think that he had some really good ones.
I think my points are going to be exactly why you're kind of like almost talked out of this. Why would you play this over Marinara? Like, either way, if you're building a rat deck, you're going to be playing Relentless Rats. And with that being said, I mean, your opponents have 40 life, and sure, they can take 10 toxic, they can take 10 poison counters. I think you're going to drop them below 40 life, well before you get them for 10 toxic or 10 poison. If you're playing with like Relentless Rats, if you're swinging it with 6/6, 7/7, 8/8 rats, like they're going to die a whole lot faster, and they have a much bigger problem to deal with than toxic.
True, but this takes it in a different direction. That could be fun. The Black Plague is real.
I mean, look, it could, but here's my thought. It's like I don't think you're ever actually going to kill a player with toxic with this ability, to be completely honest with you. I think you're just going to kill through combat damage because it's going to be so much faster. I mean, the rats get out of control incredibly quickly. Relentless Rats, whenever you're playing a rat tribal deck, is really just the card you're going to be playing. And the other one makes them essentially unblockable. Whereas this one, they still can be blocked, and you got a cute alternative win con.
Yeah, luckily Toxic still lets them deal combat damage. It's not like Infect.
Shane, do you have any other?
I wanted to. I feel like you're more of a person that's having an opinion here than me. You tell me why it's great, Hunter.
I already pretty much explained it. I didn't really need to explain it past that. I think it's a different direction of toxic.
I'll say all you said was the Black Plague is real. I didn't really get anything.
I know. Yeah, I know, but David, I get that you said the other one kills faster. This will be a slow death. This will be the Black Plague, man. I like it. I like the poison aspect of Karumonix. I may do a deck tech on this on the channel, but we will see.
I don't know if you're sticking from the pure toxic point of view. After again playing Corrupted Influence, I just feel like you have more cards available to you if you're not playing mono. Kind of a bummer to me.
Let's move on to the grades. We'll start with David. What are you giving it?
I'm going to give this a D. I think that if you want to play Rat Tribal, there actually is just a much better alternative out there.
And for that reason, I will join David in giving this a C. I think there are different directions you can go with this, but I'm kind of in between you, David. I'm kind of in between you, Hunter, because although I agree with you, Hunter, that this is kind of cool, like the Black Plague or whatever you want to call it, and it's like a slower death, but at the end of the day, like I'm not in this to slowly try and win the game and possibly give my opponents a chance to slowly come back. I want a quick death, and that's kind of where I'm at with David. So I'm gonna kind of be in the middle of you two, I feel like.
I'm still going to stick with my original grade. I'm high on it. I'm giving it a B. I think it's fun.
I'm in the middle of the road. I'm thinking it a C.
Well, the average here is going to be a C. Moving on to Kinzu of the Bleak Coven. Kinzu of the Bleak Coven is 4 and a black for a 5/4 legendary creature Phyrexian vampire. Got flying. It says whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may pay 2 life and exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1 and has Toxic 1. I kind of want to start with David again. David, what do you think of Kinzu here?
I'm actually not very high on this card. I don't know. There's so many different ways that you can build sack decks, and I guess this one is really neat. It kind of gives you like the ability to reuse your creature in a sense. I don't like Toxic 1 if I haven't gotten my point across so far. So for just the remainder of this video, Toxic 1 is flavor text. I'm not going to ever actually bring it back up. I mean, it's neat, but like this gets rid of all of your recursion, so you're not going to be able to bring those creatures back later on. This is just like your one time get a duplicate, and then if your opponent deals with it, it's gone forever. Plus 5 mana for a mono black commander is not great.
Yeah, this feels like a really big bomb and limited. That's I think where it's gonna live. For me at least.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing that I like about this card is that you can pay life rather than mana on a 5 CMC commander, which is better. Obviously, you're going to put just a bunch of black creatures in this that just have awesome abilities that you just want to stick around. Granted, you do lose it if you do this route by exiling it, but I don't know. It's mono black, like David said. Steven, what do you think of Kinzu?
I think it's great. I think there's tons of ways to gain life in mono black, and the fact that you can have a little recursion with your commander is fantastic. I think really the only downside of this card is the fact that it is 5 mana. I think once this dies like twice, you're kind of like, hating your life. But, at the end of the day, you're going to put a lot of cards that are going to give you value out of it. So why not, The toxic is literally, like David said, flavor text. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grade. Shane, we'll start with you.
I think this is kind of just middle of the road for me, man. Relevant ability. It's a C.
I'm lower than that. I'm giving this a D.
I think Shane was in the right realm. I'll join you, Shane, with the C.
I'm actually going to agree with Hunter for, I think, the first time this video. I'm going to give this a D as well.
High five, David.
Hey, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, Hunter.
I found my nuts.
Right. This average grade is going to be a C. Moving on to the final black card. This is Vraan, Executioner Thane. Vraan, Executioner Thane is 1 and a black for a 2/2 legendary creature, Phyrexian vampire. It says whenever one or more other creatures you control die, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. This ability triggers only once each turn. Well, we've seen a similar ability on things such as Blood Artist, except it's not the same because this is worse.
I think we should not start with Dave this time.
That's why I'm talking.
Oh, okay, good.
I think we should just move on to another card.
Whoa,
I'm
I don't know.
actually much higher on this card than what you guys are.
Oh, I know. That's why I didn't
See-
want to get to you first.
Here's the things. It's one or more, so it's not all of them. If there's a board wipe, it just triggers once. You can't. It literally says it only triggers once each turn, so you can't just one-shot people. I don't understand. This is not a good card.
I think my biggest question, because I think it's like an okay card. It's a good card, but I just don't know if is it worth, and I'm sure it'll be answered here in a minute. Is it worth to have, like what Hunter's saying, a worst Blood Artist or Cutthroat in your command zone? I honestly don't know the answer to that. It might be worth to have access to that ability at any point of the game, because obviously you're going to go down an aristocrat game plan with this deck, right? Obviously that's 100% what you're doing. So is the ability to have that turn on at a whim whenever you want, is that worth it? Possibly, yeah.
Steven?
I thought Steven said he didn't like it.
I don't like it. I think that it's point. Anytime a card and commander says this ability triggers only once each turn, I automatically don't care about it.
That is quite the opinion. We're going to move on to the guy that's high on this card, apparently. David, what are you saying about it?
So originally, whenever I read through it, I was kind of in the same boat that y'all were. I was very disappointed with the number of safety valves on this card. But the more I started to dive into it, the more I started to realize that if you build around this, not only does it drop incredibly early on, but this is 8 damage that you're dealing each opponent and 8 life you're going to be gaining per turn cycle. Assuming that you can still be able to sacrifice on your opponent's turns, which isn't very difficult to pull off. Now, yes, you are going to need that cannon fodder for you to be able to sacrifice, but I mean, there's always the token route you can go down. There's always the recursion route you can go down in mono black as well. I think because he drops so early and the 2 life and the 2 life gain is really going to start to add up. I don't know. I used to play Norn the Wary in EDH and using like a lot of those pinger kind of effects. And it really wasn't much damage that he ever dealt in one go, but it added up to be a ton over the course of the game. And that's kind of what I view from this commander. He's going to fly so low under the radar because your opponents don't realize just how much he's hitting.
Can I play Devil's Advocate?
Yep.
So does this card do anything on its own?
No, it doesn't do anything on its own. But the fact is that you only have to pay 2 to do it. So this is going to be a commander that I can cast throughout the entirety of the game.
It's true.
I mean, I understand your point, but comparing like this to like the 5 mana that we were talking about earlier, there is a very significant difference.
I think Mondrak was 4, but I get what you're saying.
Well, even at that, I mean, a hate generator versus a card that's going to sit there passively. Like, how many times realistically do you think, just looking at this, you're going to spend a removal spell on this card?
Probably not very often. But if, like you said, if what you said is true, in one turn cycle, we're all losing 8, right? You said?
Yeah, 2 at a time.
You might eventually go like, I don't know if I want to do that again.
I mean, you could. I don't think that this card is fantastic by any means. Don't get me wrong. But I do think that this card is actually much more powerful than what it reads. And I think that while they were designing this card, they put those safety valves on it because they realized that.
Well, yeah, it'd be broken to shit, dude.
I don't know. So you're telling me on opponent's turns, you're sacking 1 creature?
Yeah.
Just for this trigger?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't even have to necessarily be a sack, too. Like, if I block with a creature and the creature blocks and dies, I'm draining you for 2 life.
Fair. I don't know. I'm not high on it. Let's move on to the grades then. What are you giving it?
I'm actually going to give this a B. I think it barely scoots by at a B, but I'm going to give it a B.
Shane?
I like your opinions, David, but I'm still going to stick with my C. I think it's middle of the road for me.
Steven?
Yeah, I mean, no. Fuck. D.
What?
You say D as in dog?
D as in dog.
Oh,
Wow.
there's a B.
Yeah, I didn't.
Nope.
I kind of broke up there too.
Sorry, let me rephrase. D as in dog shit.
Jesus.
Wow.
See, now that
Yeah,
was mean, David.
I'm going to go ahead and stick with my original grade. This is middle of the road for me. This is a C. The average for Vraan is going to be a C. Time to move on to the mono red creatures. First up, Chiss-Goria Forged Tyrant. Chiss-Goria Forged Tyrant is 6 and 3 red for a 5/4 legendary creature dragon. It has affinity for artifacts, meaning this spell costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. It's got flying and haste, and it says whenever it attacks, exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may cast an artifact spell from among them this turn. If you do, it has affinity for artifacts. This card has potential.
Oh.
Yeah, because all the mana rocks you're playing are also not only paying the mana into this, but they're making it cheaper. So then whenever you essentially have something off the top 5, you could play that for free. I don't know. It seems very good. But I wrote 1 overloaded Vandablast and you are a solemn simulacrum, which is just a sad robot.
I was gonna say a sad boy.
Oh, Hunter.
Yeah.
What about David?
I love the overall design of this card. From the abilities to the artwork of it, I think that the artwork on this is probably my favorite art out of any card in the set. It's a very visually pleasing card. And everything that Hunter just said is pretty much what I got to say on this too. Just don't get board wiped or have your artifacts blown up, because if you do, oh boy, you're dead.
Because I feel like you're just not playing this card at that point. Becomes an irrelevant card. So does that make it super fragile then? It does, right?
It has the ability to never have commander tags based on how many artifacts you have.
Or just never be played.
But it's also the worst case scenario. It's a 9 mana commander if you have no artifacts.
This costs between 3 and $1 million.
Yeah.
Exactly.
3 and infinite. You choose.
Steven, what do you think?
I mean, Artifact Tribal, Overload Vandal Blast, Farewell, Merciless Eviction, all things that make you a solemn simulacrum.
Those were a lot of words.
Yeah, certainly were.
Artifact removal has a place in the format.
It does?
Believe it or not, it does. Let's move on to the grades. David, you love the card design. What are you giving it as a grade?
It is a solid C because this card scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It is a C from me as well.
Yeah, I'm a middle of the road kind of guy, dude. It's fragile, but could be deadly.
C.
Look at us. All on the same page for Chiss-Goria.
Never
That average.
Yeah, I literally was going to give it a different grade because I didn't want to be there.
The average is a C. Moving on to Rhuk, Hexgold Nabber. Rhuk, Hexgold Nabber is 2 in a red for a 2/2 legendary creature, Goblin Rebel. It's got trample and haste. It says whenever an equipped creature you control other than Rhuk attacks or dies, you may attach all equipment attached to that creature to Rhuk. So he wants all the pants, but
He wants all the treasure, dude.
yeah, I mean he's a Hexgold Nabber.
Now, is this a better version of that cat we looked at earlier?
Oh my god, no.
I mean, as a question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't think so either. I'm just
No,
asking you.
Shane, are you dumb?
Jesus.
I'm sorry. I need to back
get
off
all
from that
the-
question.
You get all the artifacts, though.
Yeah, but things have to die.
Or attack.
It's just
Or attack.
This is a commander that, like, he's at his best when your board state's going to shit.
Well, why? He can be attacked when they could be attacking.
I mean, I guess, but, like, I don't like this dude at all.
It's really weird. He wants to wear all the pants, but you have to give the pants to your other creatures first. It's weird, man.
Well, wait. Is that what that says? I thought just
Yeah,
when he
whenever-
attacks, everything goes to
No.
him.
No.
Whenever an equipped creature you control other than him attacks or dies.
Oh, so you just make the big boss monster, swing it with that, and then when they attack, you can move it.
Yeah. Spend 1 million mana equipping all these things onto another creature, and if your opponents kill that other creature, then you still have Rhuk.
And he has all.
And then he literally doesn't do anything because he has all the stuff.
So do
I
the
like
thing, dude.
I
Read me
like
the
it.
flavor text.
Never get between a goblin and the closest shiny object.
That's it.
Yeah, this card's bad. Let's move on to the grades. This is a D.
I'm probably gonna give it a D. Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a C.
Oh, did you have more to say, or were you done?
No, I didn't really say anything. If I'm honest with you,
Oh, that's what. Yeah, that's what I meant.
this card's fine. I mean, it's a 3-mana 2/2 with trample and haste, and when you attack, you can put stuff on it. I mean, it's Voltron. It's a C. Meh.
Guy needs a haircut. It's a D.
The average here is going to be a D. Moving on to Slobad Iron Goblin. Slobad Iron Goblin is 2 and a red for a 3/3 legendary creature, Phyrexian Goblin Artificer. Has an ability where you can tap it, sacrifice an artifact, add an amount of red equal to the sacrificed artifact's mana value. Spend this mana only to cast artifact spells or activate abilities of artifacts.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is gonna be a combo deck of some sort.
Or a value deck.
Oh, okay, I don't know. That was a shot in the dark.
I just don't understand why you would want to sacrifice an artifact that you played. Riddle me that.
That's
If you
Stevens.
if you spent the mana to cast the artifact, I get it that the artifact now can be mana, but so what? I don't understand.
There are multiple cards that are artifacts that when you play them, like you and I have had this conversation before, you play them, and when they enter the battlefield, they do things for you. I'll do 2 examples. Prize Statue, 2 mana. When it ETBs, it creates a treasure token. And then when it goes to the graveyard, it does the same thing. And then you have cards like Ichor Wellspring, 2 mana. When it ETBs, you draw a card. When it goes to the graveyard, you draw another card. So now you're drawing 2 cards for 2 mana, and you're making 2 treasures for 2 mana. So you're mana positive on one, and then just drawing a ton of cards on the other. Solemn Simulacrum, obviously you're getting a basic land, and then you can sack it, get 4 mana, and then you literally can draw a card. There's tons of artifacts out there that can do things for you when they ETB and go to the graveyard.
He's not wrong.
I mean,
I mean,
you can
totally-
kind of like pseudo loop Spine of Ishsaw.
100%.
Hey, for us
Let us
dummies
also
out there,
not
what does that
forget.
mean?
Sorry. So Spine of Ishah, I used it against you guys the other day in that game that we played. When it ETBs, destroy target permanent.
Oh yeah, that was stupid.
Yeah, and whenever it dies, it goes back to your hand. So you actually just recast it with the mana you made by sacking it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's dumb. Yeah.
And
okay.
also, let's not forget about our favorite cards. We also have like Wormcoil Engine, Triplicate Titan, and Phyrexian Triniform. That when they die, they create insane value.
3/3s and some shit or something. I don't know.
Yeah, so Triplicate Titan will make you a 3/3 with flying, a 3/3 with vigilance, and a 3/3 with trample. Wormcoil Engine obviously gives you the 3/3s with Death Touch and Lifelink, and so on and so forth. Like this card sounds so fun to me. I love Slobad, and I think my favorite card that I can't wait to play with this is Scrap Mastery. Each player exiles all artifact cards from their graveyard, then sacrifices all artifacts they control, and then puts all cards they exiled this way onto the battlefield. So everything you fucking sacrificed, you just throw right back onto your field.
So he's definitely not slow or bad.
No, he's fast and great.
That's a wrong name for this guy.
Nice, Slobad.
He's fast, great Iron Golem.
That's great, dude.
Fast, great.
I mean, so I see the value there. I mean, that's definitely value. It doesn't. I will say it doesn't seem bad.
No, and there's tons of I mean, I get why people probably won't like this card because they're going to be like, oh, well, the tap. Oh, you got to tap it. Cool. So many ways to untap creatures.
Don't start.
I feel like that's a personal attack on me. I think you read my notes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Kills
Look.
my excitement.
Look, I don't know why Wizards of the Coast couldn't have just had this exact same ability, but without the tap, and just let me make food chain with artifacts.
Because that would be stupid.
I think that's why they did that.
Well, yeah, let me have my fun, dude.
I think over there at Wizards, they were like, You think David's going to use this as food chain for artifacts?
And they'll be like, of course he will. Cut it. Couldn't you get around that with like Staff of Dominus?
I mean,
Dominus?
Spine of Isha without the tap here literally is just
Destroy
destroy
all of your opponent's permanents.
Yeah, that's dumb.
I think it's totally balanced.
Yeah. Well,
Got a mulligan despite of Isha.
do you have any other things to say about this card, David?
No, Steven wrapped up my whole thought on this card too. I think he's pretty dope. I guess the only complaint is Mono Red now has competition for this. Like there's a couple cards that feed into like the whole sacrificing artifacts thing in this color.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to the grades. Steven, you're so high on this card. What is it?
You know, man, I haven't done it this entire set, but I'm going to do it right now. This is an A.
Whoa.
I'm giving this a C. I'm sticking with it.
Well, garbage opinion.
That's fine. You're dealing
Hey.
with going to be giving this an A, I tell you that much.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, I'm going to say, I might say C, or I am saying C, but it's not because it's a bad card. You definitely talked to me. This is a good card. I can see the value on the wall. I just won't play it.
I think this card is really fun. I, however, do have some concerns with the tap, and I see how this could be slow. So I'm going to stick with a C.
Gamble.
Well, the average grade here is going to be a B. Moving on to the final red card. This is the red Dominus. This is Solphim Mayhem Dominus. Solphim Mayhem Dominus is 2 and 2 red for a 5/4 legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror. It says if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. Has the other ability where you can pay 1 and 2 red Phyrexian, discard 2 cards, put an indestructible counter on Solphim. This is very good.
Talk to me.
Hey man, we don't run Lightning Bolt in Commander because it's not that great. But in this deck, 1 mana for 6 damage is pretty good.
Better be casting a lot of lightning bolts.
There's a lot of those cards that can hit you for 3 that now hit for 6 because of this.
This seems good, Hunter.
It does, doesn't it?
But being a spell slinger in EDH is scary. Like a burn deck in EDH is scary.
Yeah, but how fun would that be, huh?
Sounds
I mean-
mediocre.
I
could do it.
actually, I think of this as going very differently than what you just mentioned. I still don't think I would play Lightning Bolt in a deck like this, in all fairness. I look at this and I think this is where I'm going to put a bunch of my pingers, like the little creatures that tap to deal damage,
Yeah, you can do that too.
or like abuse any of the ETBs.
Hey David, one of your favorite cards you've been putting in some of these damage decks, Heartless Hidetsugu just wrecks your opponents.
Yeah. I mean, he will kill your opponents if they're on even life.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not nice.
I think this is kind of like a lot of the other Dominuses that we've seen so far, though. It has an ability that it's going to draw hate. I do think that this ability is probably going to draw more hate than some of the other ones because they're going to directly see how this is hurting them. I think this is possibly the most challenging to get the counters on because red is not good at getting cards into their hand. So this is going to hurt to make this thing indestructible.
Well,
I
you
think
can
it's
also
fun.
you can do the whole madness route too, right? So you're discarding and then you're playing them.
Yeah, you could. You could actually build this totally as madness. And I mean, there's plenty of madness spells that deal damage too. So,
Ooh, did you find a lane to build this?
I mean, possibly, but I don't think I want a mono red madness.
I think this
Yeah, what was it? What was the other
So
madness deck?
good.
It was 2-color, right?
Generally, they're Rakdos.
Steven, what do you think of this card?
I would think they're like all the other Dominuses. I think they're all kind of shitty.
Really? You think all the Dominuses are shitty?
I do too.
You guys have some
Wow.
unpopular opinions.
I'd say.
Listen, man, I think in a format like Standard, I think they're cool. I think they're going to see a lot of play. I think they're really good. I think in a format like Commander, where there's 3 other people, and 9 times out of 10, somebody's gonna exile something, it's gonna like I, maybe I'm saying it wrong. I think they're super powerful, and I think that's what's gonna hurt you the most with these cards. They're not like definite hate bearers, but a card like this that says deal at double damage. The first time you cast that spell to deal double damage, I don't think anyone's going to counter it. I just think people are going to try and kill this.
Yep. I'm with Steven. They all have like a decently high ceiling, but the floor on them is so low, and I think you're going to see the floor more often than not.
It's like, let's be honest, you're building your entire deck around these cards. So the second that they continuously get killed or exiled, what are you going to do?
Pay up for a lightning bolt in EDH and hope that does something.
I mean, I don't think you should put lightning bolt in this deck, Hunter. I'll tell
Haters.
you right now.
Haters.
But I mean,
No,
that,
I like the deck.
being-
Doesn't like a lightning bolt.
That's being the argument, though, is that like lightning bolt with this card out and in play is actually fairly decent. 1 mana to deal 6 damage. But the second this dies, you're playing lightning bolt in EDH.
Yeah.
That's
Don't
just
let that
more
happen.
reasonable.
Yeah, don't let that happen.
Let's move on to the grades. I am high on this card. I may even build it. This is
Do
a
it.
B.
I want to see you build it, baby.
You're the blue one on the red one, huh?
Dude, that'd be a sick gameplay.
Sounds like I'm getting some free games.
Oh my.
Man. Dave, it's going to be nuts when, like, what do we do? Like, should we just play a 1v1 then at that point? You know what I mean? Because, like,
What's your grade, dickhead?
Just C, dude. Like, it's good, but it's not great. It's meh.
Steve and I are feeling each other tonight. This is a C.
It sucks that I want to give this a C, but I don't feel it's meh. So, Hunter, it's a C, but it's not meh.
I don't think C means mess. C means average.
I know, but he
Average,
says
yeah.
meh. It makes me go, fuck. I'm giving the same grade.
The average here is going to be a C. Time to move on to some green ones. This is Thrun, Breaker of Silence. Thrun, Breaker of Silence is 3 and 2 green for a 5/5 legendary creature troll shaman. It says this spell can't be countered. It's got trample. It says it can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. And it says as long as it's your turn, Thrun has indestructible. Steven, we'll start with you.
I think this card is amazing. And I know I'm going to catch a lot of slack for that, but I love this card so much. I think this card is super fantastic. I'm going to say it like this, though, because I know I'm going to catch a lot of slack for saying this next sentence. I think that you're playing this when you see no one else at the table is playing green. I think that's when you play this card, or this deck, I'm sorry.
Why? Green removal isn't really a thing.
Excuse me?
You got a couple
Peace with
cards to
that?
remove. That's
Fight.
one card. You're right.
Fight spells? I mean, that's pretty much green removal, right?
I mean, regardless, I there's green removal, but at the end of the day, I still think this would be really fun to play. But I mean, I just it can't be countered, it can't be targeted. Fuck your abilities, and then on my turn, it's not gonna die.
This is a troll card, dude, for
This
sure.
is a great card, dude. And then you're
It's just
building mono green Stompy.
It's just a 5/5 with trample.
Okay,
Yeah.
Voltron. What?
Hunter, this is gonna be one of those cards where, and let me tell you right now, I'm being the green player at the table. You, I'm guessing you're gonna want to try to do a 1-turn kill with this. I'm not saying this card's great, but Steven, going back to your point, you're gonna try to kill one person in 1 turn, right? That's your goal. You got trample. Make them big.
I
They
could
can't
give
interact.
3 shits about killing somebody in 1 turn. I just think this card's
Well,
a
what are you gonna
meme
do?
that I'm there.
Oh.
What do you mean value, dude? You can't target this, Shane.
Dude, I'm kind of on your side. Why are you freaking? I get that. That's crazy. What I'm saying is this is gonna be such a pain in the ass to get rid of. Just kill somebody with 1 turn.
I have some opinions on this card.
And I was waiting.
I think this card is actually fantastic. Like what Steven said, you're never getting rid of this. You load this up as your Voltron commander. It already has trample strapped onto this thing. This is just going to nuke players' life totals. This is a wonderful Voltron commander that they're never going to be able to get rid of.
Crazy, dude. I said that. I love you, David.
I love you too. My notes, by the way, say it's ass.
Oh, I don't
Because
care.
he's a troll.
Yeah, I realized you were trolling from the beginning.
I was really
Like, how do
happy
you get
because
rid
I
of
saw
this
you
card,
switch it to. I saw you switch the grade there, David, and I was like, oh no.
Sweeper.
What's up, dude?
A sweeper?
That's true.
What do you mean a sweeper? He's got indestructible so long as it's your turn.
Yeah. How often are you playing board wipes on someone else's turn?
I mean, how many
mean-
mono green spells are there that give indestructible?
Plus,
Wait.
it's not just spells, by the way. It's abilities your opponents control too.
I'm going back to my original grade. Let's move on to the grades. I'm still sticking. This is average. It's, in my opinion, at base a 5/5 with trample.
Dude, this is a 1-turn kill.
It's a C.
Hey, David, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, what's up?
How many spells exile this card?
0.
I actually wait. No.
It's probably mono green exile.
Farewell.
Yeah,
and
farewell.
Merciless Eviction.
Yep. Two.
That's all I'm thinking of.
Maybe like 6 mana
Actually-
though, right?
Well, yeah, and they're both sorceries, so like it ultimately wouldn't even matter there.
Yeah. Okay. And just second question, David. Sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. The how many exile effects could hit the Dominuses?
Oh, all of them.
Oh, okay. Sorry. We can continue with the video now. This card is a solid. I mean, you know what, dude? Fuck it. It's an A.
Jesus Christ.
You're just such a troll, dude. I mean, it's a B. It's not an A, it's a B.
Nah, this card's a B, dude. Psych,
Wait, I'm
it's an
so
A.
confused.
Yeah, what are you saying? I said B. What are you saying, Steven?
It's an A. 1000%, dude. There's not a single thing about this card that's bad in my opinion.
I think this card is fantastic. I am not quite in the A territory. I'm gonna give it a B.
The average grade for Thrun is a B. This next card is Zopandrel, Hunger Dominus. Zopandrel, Hunger Dominus is 5 and 2 green for 4/6 legendary creature Phyrexian Horror. It has reach. It says at the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control till end of turn. It also has another ability where you can pay 2 green Phyrexian mana, sacrifice 2 other creatures, put in a destructible counter on Zopandrel.
What do we think, Hunter?
I don't like this. I'll say it. It's my turn to say it. This is the worst Dominus of the cycle.
I think it's a very strong ability, but that mana cost is kind of scary. But Steven, let me say it. You are in green, so you can ramp to it.
Thank you.
I
Unnatural
knew you'd
Growth
say it.
does it for 5 mana and is an enchantment, which is
That's
harder
true.
to get rid of.
True. You can have both of those, though, dude.
Sure, double it.
That'd be crazy.
It would be a lot.
That'd be actually really crazy. But is that good enough?
Think
Doesn't have
about it
trample.
for a second. On blocks, this has reach, right?
Mhm.
So someone's trying to fly over. On combat, this turns into an 8/12.
That's pretty
with
big.
reach. It's not bad,
Oh, it's not bad.
but it's still bad.
But it's
I mean, the ceiling on this is kind of like it's a Craterhoof Behemoth-esque effect in your command zone. You play this and you pump the hell out of your team, and then you go off and potentially just kill a player. Like, at least this does something without having to work into it, unlike the other Dominus. You just cast it, and you're probably going to have other creatures in play.
I would hope you would. But then again, this is the card that I'm holding up for my removal/counter, right? I see it in your graveyard. I'm not letting you play it.
I mean, you see it in the command zone, not the graveyard.
That's
But
my bad. Yes, I see it in your command zone.
But like my argument there being though is that then I could just use this as like a fear piece of like
You could.
I'm just going to keep this back as an additional doubler. Like I know that Hunter says you have unnatural growth as an option, but like who's to say that I'm not already playing that?
Oh, I'm
And then all of a
guessing you
sudden I'm
would.
just and then I'm just like doubling and doubling and doubling. So like that 3/3 that I played earlier that's getting ready to smack you for like I don't know 12 damage. That's going to be pretty powerful.
I agree. You'll just make me keep up the mana every turn.
Yeah, I think that this is like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm talking about the ceiling. Best case scenario, you drop this, and it is that complete overrun effect where like your team is just massive now, and you're going to swing in your kill. At the same time, this is a 7-mana creature that is probably going to eat a removal spell and just go back to the command zone. The only trade-off here being is at least this one is in green, so you'll probably be able to recast it.
Yeah, and hopefully you have other big beasts on your field that will still then go into combat and probably hurt your opponent. And then they already wasted enough removal on this, so yeah, I can see it.
I mean, dude, at the end of the day, I think that this card is going to be fun. I don't think it's the shittiest of them all, but let's say you are going to try and counter this. I mean, in all reality, a 1-mana Veil of Summer just says go fuck yourself.
Many things tell me to go screw myself, that's true.
Time to move on to the grades. You seem high on this, Steven. What are you giving it?
I'm going to give this a C.
I'm with Steven once again. It's a C. None of the Dominuses impressed me.
I'm with them as well. This is a cool card, though. I hate agreeing with you, and then after you say it's bad. This is a good card. C.
Never said it was bad.
Sorry.
I said it was bad. It's a D.
You're right.
Can you just read me the first sentence of your notes?
Put
real
words
quick
into your
out
mouth. I
loud?
didn't mean to.
Whopper.
What?
That's
Double
what
Whopper.
that's my notes. His average here is going to be a C. Final card of the monocolored Commander grades. This one is not a color at all, but it is Graaz Unstoppable Juggernaut. Graaz Unstoppable Juggernaut is 8 generic mana for a 7/5 legendary artifact creature Juggernaut. It says Juggernauts you control attack each combat if able, and Juggernauts that you control can't be blocked by walls. And other creatures you control have base power and toughness 5/3 and are Juggernauts in addition to their other creature types. I did the number crunch for you guys, just letting you know. 17 other Juggernauts that can be played in the deck. I know it doesn't matter because it gives everything Juggernaut ability.
Yeah.
But guess what? I found interesting. Leveler
What?
is considered a Juggernaut.
Whoa.
Probably shouldn't cast that one.
So you're never probably playing that guy.
Never casting that one, but I'll say this is still 8 generic mana, and it would be kind of hard to ramp into.
I
Not
really want to
true.
know why people are loving this card. Besides it being hilariously awesome.
Because it's the Juggernaut.
Yeah, dude, it's the Kool-Aid man.
Hunter, don't you play a wall deck?
I do
mean, it
play
has
walls.
one.
It's very, very niche. If you're gonna be like, you're playing walls, I'm playing Graaz.
I got the
that-
commander to play against you,
that
buddy.
would be so annoying, dude.
Yeah, Graaz turns out probably pretty good against like Arcades.
Yeah.
So we have to have that in our repertoire just for 100 grabs as Arcades deck.
Yep, that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Speaking about this being in our repertoire, keep an eye out for the next couple of days. I should actually have a deck tech up in this dropping not too far from
my
now.
God.
I've already had the deck built. I was in the middle of recording it whenever my house decided to spring a leak.
Well, can
Well,
we just jump
David-
to you then? I want
to hear your opinions on this. If you're the guy that's making the deck.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun putting the deck together. Obviously, being colorless is a very real deck constriction. But for 8 whole mana, you get to make your small things 5/3s. I mean, the unblockable part of things really doesn't matter, and the like must attack each combat also probably doesn't matter because you were going to attack with them anyways. Graaz is basically just like a colorless version of like what we just talked about with that last Dominus. You're going to drop it into play whenever you need that overrun effect so that your 1/1s become 5/3s. And then like they don't lose their other creature types and abilities too. So if they had flying beforehand, they still have flying.
Sounds like a lot of damage.
I mean, it's a very high risk, high reward. You definitely have to keep in mind you're paying 8 mana for a colorless deck. There is a real constriction here.
Is it unfortunate that if you have this out and you want to block, you can't?
Not necessarily, because I mean, like if you are building this as your commander, you're probably going to have a decent amount of token production, and those tokens don't have haste, so you technically still will have blockers back so long as you play the deck smart. And I mean, those blockers are going to be 5/3s. But like I mentioned earlier, Graaz is really like you're going to drop him whenever you want to kill a player because all of your other things are probably going to get a pretty significant bump going from 1/1s to 5/3s. So that's nice. That's where you really find the sweet spot with him.
So the game plan here is just go white tokens?
It is a lot of like go wide tokens, yes.
Got it.
Also, it gives you an excuse to like play the Urzatron lands.
That's cool.
Steven, what do you think?
I think this card's aggressively high and expensive for a colorless deck.
That's true.
But I think that is probably the only negative, in my opinion.
Let's move on to the final grades for Graaz. David, you built it. What are you giving it?
Oh, he's still absolutely just a C. I mean, in all honesty, I'm even tempted to put him lower than that just because, like, if things don't work out in your favor, this deck can really feel clunky at times, but I'm going to still keep him at a C.
Cannot wait to see this deck tech, bro. I'm going to give it a C as well.
I can't wait to see it as well.
Well, I pulled one today in my set box. I'm going to give this a B.
Wow.
That's the only reason, huh?
You
Well, the
said it.
average here is still going to be a C. And that is going to do it. That was all, I believe, 17 mono-colored legendaries from Phyrexia All Will Be One. Comment down below what your favorite was of the mono-colored legendaries. Are you going to be building any decks with one of the ones we talked about today? Also, do you agree or disagree with any of our grades? You probably do. Let us know down below. Maybe you'll be as aggressive as David. Who knows? But that's going to do it for us today. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so you don't miss any of the cool content. Check the description where you'll find links to our Instagram, our Twitter, and our TikTok. That is @GuysThatMagic for all of them. Give us a follow. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Slobad's great. Bye.